everyone, and welcome back to another update video. Today we have Snapshot 21W07A, and I'm going to be going over everything that is new and changed in this update. And the first thing that we have to go over today is probably fairly evident by the opening there. We have a new block in the game, and it is called Grimstone. It is essentially a stone variant that produces lower in the world. So right now I am down at y equals minus 37, so below the regular world y value that went down to 0. And if you go up far enough, you will, there you go, run back into the separation between the two. And this block is used to craft everything that stone could craft. It just generates lower in the world. It also has a bunch of different variants and different blocks, so you can do slabs, stairs, and walls of each of the different types. The polished, we also have the Grimstone bricks, and we also have these Grimstone tiles, which are a little bit different. We haven't had anything quite like that before, and they come in a stair and wall variety as well. And then we also have this chiseled Grimstone, which all Minecraft blocks that are chiseled are based on a mob, and I'm not totally sure which mob this is based on. It might be based on the new mob that we're supposed to be getting later in 1.17, but it's an interesting block. Not sure I would build with it too much, especially since it's not directional. It's always placed in the same direction. But yeah, that is the new Grimstone. Unfortunately, I don't think it blends in very well. Like, look at the way that ores stick out in it. I don't know if they're going to change the way that those ores look down here or not, because right now they kind of stick out like a sore thumb, especially like, look at this andesite. It just doesn't look like it fits in down here. This doesn't feel very Minecrafty, this texture, to me personally. These caves look great, but I just don't think that it's the best texture. And speaking of textures, one of the other big changes in this update is, for accessibility reasons, they have changed the textures of our ores so that you don't need to be able to see the color to know what they are. They have left diamond the same because they said it is so iconic, but they have changed these other four. I quite like the redstone change and the coal change. Unfortunately, the iron looks kind of bad with the way that it's connected this way. It just looks a little bit messy. And I don't really like the colors on the gold. These really dark spots and things. I think that they could have done a better coloration job on this new texture. It just looks a little bit strange. I do like these two, but the iron and the gold I'm not the biggest fan of. On top of that, we now also have the first iteration for the new spawning heights of these ores, and they gave that to us in the form of a little graphic, which I will put up on the screen now. So if you look on the right of this chart, you can see the old generation for ores. The coal goes all the way up to the top of the mountains, and then iron, and then all of the valuable things are down at the bottom of the world. But if you look over on the left, this is our new generation for ores. This is not final, as you can see by the massive not final badge. Coal can go all the way up to the top of the world, so can emeralds, and actually iron can now be found at the top of mountain biomes now as well. We can see where copper is actually going to generate in the world, which it will be able to generate all the way up to the surface, but it seems to be most prevalent around the y equals 40 area. And then iron is just a bit lower, being most prevalent around the y equals 24 to y equals 32 area. And then lapis stays mostly the same. It does dip down a little bit into the brimstone, but the biggest changes come with gold, diamond, and redstone, which can be found at the same Y levels as before, but it looks like they're going to spawn in much greater quantities lower down in the world. So if you look at the redstone, the diamond, and then you can see down at y equals minus 64, they're the most prevalent. Gold seems to be most prevalent around y equals minus 16 to minus 24. So this is really interesting in that, yes, you can still get these ores at the levels that we were digging to before, but to get them in any quantity, you're going to want to dig down much further into the world, into those brimstone biomes. On the list of changes, there has also been some slight updates to the textures of polished blackstone and blackstone variants. So that is new. We also have different sisal generation of things like andesite, granite, and diorite, so they will generate differently in the world. Now, the last new change in this update is actually to do with an issue that I pointed out in my last video with how Mineshafts spawn, and we saw that they were spawning with wood pillars 60 blocks tall to support their walkways, but that was an issue. So now Mineshafts are supposed to generate almost entirely encased in stone, and where they're not encased in stone, they now have a choice of whether to be supported by oakwood logs like we see here, or supported from the ceiling by chains instead of the oak log down below. So we won't have that issue where you see incredibly tall wood posts holding up the mine shafts. You'll just see normal sized ones, and then where it's too tall, if that happens, they'll be supported by chains instead. Now, that is everything that is new and of note in this new update. We have the brimstone, we have the texture changes, we have a couple of different generation changes, and we have the first attempt at ore generation in the world. But that is everything for today. Let me know what you think of this update down in the comments below. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!